Two Russian soldiers are struggling to fulfill their company commander's mission on the front line. They are trying to survive in an open field under heavy fire from Ukrainian artillery. Ukrainian artillery forces could not hit two Russian soldiers despite all their efforts. Then, as the soldiers continued on their way, this time they came face to face with a Ukrainian attack FPV drone. A Russian soldier made a clever move. The Russian soldier threw his rifle at the Ukrainian attack drone. In this way, they survived the attack unscathed. After surviving the artillery and drone attacks, the two Russian soldiers continued on their way. Here are the images of Russian soldiers fighting from the front line. Zaporizhzhia. Operators of aircraft-type UAVs of the 20th Guards Army of the Western Group destroyed a temporary deployment point of the Ukrainian armed forces with a powerful strike.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
3 FAB bombs hit a building in Pokrovsk. A flying Russian attack FPV drone recorded this moment. The details of the news report do not specify which FAB bomb, but I think it was an FAB 500. The intensity of the explosion makes me think this is the case. What do you think? On the border of Sumy and Belgorod regions, a TOS-1A Russian-made thermobaric rocket launcher system opened heavy fire on positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. This is how the images of the attack were reflected on the reconnaissance drone and the attack drone. The TOS-1A has 24 rockets. It has a range of about 6 kilometers. It is mounted on the T-72 tank chassis. UAV operators of the Baikal Group of the Reconnaissance Battalion of the 40th Independent Guards Marine Brigade destroyed a drone control point in Otradnoye. The fiber optic drone Prince Vandal of Novgorod was used in this attack. The fiber optic drone first destroyed the entrance door to the basement. The second other drone penetrated into the basement and caused the basement to collapse. Kharkiv direction. VT-40 drone operators destroyed 3 pickup trucks of the Ukrainian armed forces. Although the pickup trucks were traveling very fast, they still could not escape the Russian drones. The attacks continue day and night without a break. Russian drones never leave the sky. They fly continuously and immediately destroy all the targets they detect. There were 2 Ukrainian soldiers behind the pickup truck, and they opened fire to destroy the Russian drone, but they failed. The drone crashed into the pickup truck and destroyed it. 2 soldiers jumped out of the pickup truck in the last seconds. A Su-25 attack aircraft struck a temporary deployment point of the Ukrainian Air Force in the Kursk border region. The defeat of the equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine with a drone over fiber optics in one direction of the front line. Russian FPV drones found and destroyed a parked-wheeled 155mm self-propelled artillery gun, Tu-22 Bodana. Bodana is a long-range and NATO-compatible howitzer that increases Ukraine's domestic production capability. FPV drones found 2 pickup trucks close to the Bodana and slowly approached the pickup trucks, destroying both with a single strike. Belgorod region. An abandoned American M1A1SA Abrams tank of the Ukrainian armed forces near the village of Demidovka. The abandoned tank was hit by several Russian FPV drones, rendering it completely unusable. It is now just a piece of scrap. Drone operators of the 14th Special Forces Independent Guard Brigade and the 200th Guards Artillery Brigade of the Vostok Group strike a bunker in Shakhtarskoye, where Ukrainian armed forces soldiers are located. The soldiers who were attacked in the bunker hid in a house, but they could not escape the Russian drone attacks there either. The Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft and the Soyuz 2.1, a launch vehicle, were launched from Baikonur. It will deliver an international crew to the ISS. On board are Russian cosmonauts Sergei Ryzhikov and Alexei Zubritsky, and NASA astronaut Johnny Kim. The expedition will last until December 9th. FPV drone operators of the Special Forces of the Western Group destroy strongholds and UAV control repeaters of the armed forces of Ukraine. The Ukrainian armed forces mined cemeteries in the Kursk region during the retreat. The Kursk engineers asked residents not to visit the graves of their relatives during Easter because they are still not safe, the commander of the engineer detachment, whose call sign is Myron, told TASS. Ukrainian armed forces drones faced an unexpected attack. A Russian drone was waiting on the ground. Its aim was to destroy an enemy target. Suddenly, Ukrainian drones appeared in front of the Russian drone. The operator waited for a while, and when he saw the Baba Yaga drone, he immediately took off and destroyed the heavy helicopter-type drone in midair. Russian reconnaissance drone detected the movement of Ukrainian UAV operators. Ukrainian UAV operators deployed to a house. They set up all their UAV equipment in this house. Russian artillery units then opened heavy fire on the Ukrainian armed forces UAV control point. Russian drone operators repeatedly hit Ukrainian armed forces strongholds, temporary deployment points, equipment, and storage areas. Russian forces have gained the upper hand in the region. Lightning strike UAV crews of the 36th Independent Guard Motorized Rifle Brigade of the Vostok Group destroyed a UAV control point in the village of Bogatyr. Destruction of the Brem-1 of the Armed Forces of Ukraine by fiber optic FPV UAVs. Sumy region, north of the village of Turia. The Ukrainian army actively uses Brem-1 armored recovery vehicles. These vehicles have often joined the inventory through the capture of Brem-1s captured from Russia or abandoned on the battlefield. For example, Ukrainian troops were filmed using a captured Brem-1 to transport another captured T-80BV tank. In addition, Ukraine is producing Brem-1-like recovery vehicles by converting captured former Russian tanks into engineering vehicles. This is done in order to increase the rescue and repair capabilities needed on the battlefield. As a result, the Ukrainian army continues to conduct armored rescue operations using captured Brem-1s and other converted vehicles. Operators of fiber-optic drones of the Russian Southern Group arrived at the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. As you can see at the beginning of the video, there is a destroyed BA-BAYAGA drone. Fiber-optic drone operators are reconnoitering the Ukrainian position, maneuvering nimbly through the trees and inspecting destroyed equipment. He's also looking for the position's bunker, because that's what he came here for, to destroy the bunker. He found the position's bunker and went inside, and that's what happened next.
Scouts of the 30th Motorized Rifle Regiment of the Northern Group of Forces destroyed one by one the armored vehicles of the attackers of the village of Ulanok in the Kursk region today. Have you ever used FPV drones before in your life? FPV drones are not only a technology used for military purposes. Later on, bombs were placed on FPV drones and they started to be used on the battlefield. Using a FPV drone is a much more skillful device than normal drones. This armored vehicle appears to have been abandoned. There is no one inside the vehicle, and there is clearly no one in the surrounding area. Military personnel in the calculation of the anti-aircraft missile system, TOR, of the Vostok Group of Forces are actively involved in combat every day. One after another, they destroy the reconnaissance and attack drones they detect. TOR was developed specifically against cruise missiles, UAVs, helicopters, and low-altitude aircraft. Its range is 12 to 16 kilometers. Maximum altitude, 10 to 12 kilometers. TOR plays an important role on modern battlefields. Drone operators took off for reconnaissance in the Kharkiv region. The coordinates of the detected bunker and ditch were precisely recorded. The drone operators transmitted the information to the artillery unit. Then, without wasting any time, artillery shelling began. Positions of the Ukrainian armed forces were detected in the same direction. As a result of precise adjustments, the artillery hit the positions. In the same direction, artillery opened fire on the building used as a temporary deployment and also used as a control center. The tankers of the Gram Sabur of the 35th Brigade of the Altai 35th Brigade of the Central Military District struck the identified temporary deployment positions with direct aiming. The intention of these strikes is to support the offensive of the offensive units of the Central Group approaching the town of Pokrovsk. In the Orikhovsky direction, 2 soldiers of the Dnipro group were escorting a surrendered Ukrainian soldier to the positions. During the escort, a Ukrainian FPV drone attacked the Russian soldier. One of the Russian soldiers jumped on it to protect the prisoner and gave him cover. It is surprising that the ammunition on the Ukrainian drone did not explode. It is hard to imagine what the Ukrainian soldier under arrest must have felt at that moment. They flew a drone directly over their own soldiers, and those he considered enemies risked their lives to save him from death. I'd like to know what you think about this footage. Write in the comments. Russian troops captured an American Oshkosh armored vehicle in the direction of South Donetsk. It is an armored tactical vehicle of the MRAP class, mine-resistant, ambush-protected, developed by the United States and designed for use in difficult terrain such as Afghanistan. Oshkosh vehicles were also sent to Ukraine as part of military aid packages after 2022.
In the Shevchenko region, the M113 armored personnel carrier of the Armed Forces of Ukraine was immobilized after hitting a Russian mine. FPV UAV operators of the Southern Group launched successive attacks on the immobilized armored vehicle. The crew of the armored vehicle immediately abandoned the vehicle and drove away. Several drone strikes were carried out to completely destroy and scrap the armored vehicle. The M113 is an American-made armored personnel carrier. It was supplied to Ukraine by Western countries and is actively used in the war. The movement of a group of infantry hiding in the basement was detected. After precisely recording the coordinates, the data was transferred to attack drones. Without wasting time, the drones took off and hit the basement twice. In the village of Myropilya, Sumy region, Russian drone operators destroyed temporary deployment points with powerful explosions.